thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing the elections. Let's talk about Dino Melaye for a minute, because he's been a major character in many of these elections, even before the presidential elections, even during the announcement of the result. We saw his drama. Since then, things calmed down, and then suddenly he says, I'm running for governor, come and vote for me. And we started seeing him around. Now, what are your thoughts? What do you think about his political relevance going forward, or how can he still remain relevant, at least in PDP, because PDP need all their soldiers right now. I mean, they seem to be somewhat drowned, especially with what happened with Atiku and all that. So they need all their key players to be united and back together. So what are your thoughts on his political future?
Well, it's really tough. He has the opportunity to bounce back. Age is on his side, just as age is on Muritala Jaka's side too. What happened to PDP in Kogi is similar to what happened to PDP in Lagos during the governorship election. Check the figures. They are similar in terms of the very poor performance that the PDP put off. I personally told people that Dino will come third in this election. Many times, Dolapo and I said he will come a distant third. So yesterday he called me and said, Oga, Emma Sobe.
46,000, I think, he gathered?
46. He came third. You see, the fact of Leke Abejide even contesting, and he's also from my area, from Okunland. There's a candidate from AA, there's Leke Abejide, there's Dino. It doesn't help. How did Yabelo manage to get only, or let me say, how did Ebraland manage to have only Ododo on the ballot?
Yes.
No other person got off from any party.
Yes.
When Natasha won the senatorial election, on journalist Hangout, Ayo asked me, he said, this Natasha's victory may alter the calculation. I said, Ebiras will not see their son on the ballot and vote for someone else. And this is the truth, because it happened in 1983 when Cornelius Adebayo, the candidate of the UPN, picked Usman Abatemi and Ibrahman as his deputy. And the sitting governor at that time was Adamu Atta. So they saw that Adamu Atta had a better chance of staying in office. They didn't even imagine that Abatemi was there. They totally voted for the Atta ticket. Yes. And that's what we saw again today. Yes, the opposition is saying that some of the numbers from Okene were cooked up and all that. I am not in position, because I'm not a judge, to determine whether they were lying or not. The courts can easily determine that the same way the court determined that Natasha was the rightful winner of the senatorial election, and Natasha didn't need IREF to prove that she won the election. She used the physical result from EC8A, the result sheet, to prove that she indeed won that election. So Dino coming third is not something that came to me as a surprise. I had long envisaged that that's the way the elections will go, because the people of the Kogi East will vote overwhelmingly for their son. You know, because Ajaka ran a very strong campaign. Though there were other people from that zone who contested, but Ajaka's campaign was very formidable, and it was far better organized than the rest of them. So I knew that there would be a deluge of votes going to him. So once he locks up that side, there's no way Dino will be able to fish from Kogi East. And already our own people in Okunland were not going to vote for Dino. I don't want to talk about some of those. Because
as an addendum to this question I asked you, because what of PDP on the larger scale? Because with what happened with the election results from the tribunal, and I see a few of their big wigs like Dele Momodu, and everybody just trying to keep that opposition alive. That listen, we are still here. Do you think there's a struggle between that LP PDP where somebody's fighting to be that the main opposition against APC. And what can they do to get stronger? Because now, elections are about to be completely over now, and everybody's going to focus on 2027 coming up. What are your own thoughts as regards PDP? How can they get their strength back to where it was before?
They have to forgive one another and allow real reconciliation to take place. The refusal to reconcile is what cost them in Plateau. Look at what has happened in Plateau. It's a tragedy. Losing all your House of Reps members, losing your House of Assembly members because you failed to carry out the instruction of the court. The party leadership refused to reconcile. So in the recent, there was no structure. The primaries that were supposed to hold did not hold. At the end of the day, they cancelled because you can't build something on nothing. So the court said, okay, because you didn't do this, just because they couldn't reconcile and agree on power sharing and all that, they lost everything. Because so in Imo now, they also have issues. Some daddy's men and Hedio has people. They refuse to reconcile. And you saw them move to go and support Hope Uzodinma. Yes. So the same thing happened at the presidential election. They didn't reconcile. So if you have a party that does not have the means of resolving internal disputes, that party would inevitably go down. You've got to resolve things. When there will be disagreement, but you've got to resolve, come together.
You know what I remember now? The prayer. I remember that prayer points that they give us in church. Because I send the camp of my enemies. Send some confusion in the camp of my enemies. That's exactly
to focus. Fighting themselves. It shows that we are in the same WhatsApp group. Because as he was saying it, I was thinking it.
So PDP needs prayer points. They need a prayer point to bring us back together.
I think Nigerians need prayer points. That leaders that will not serve us.
God should chase them away. God should chase them away. God should sort them out.
Sort them out. Even we started talking in our WhatsApp group. But, you know, rounding off, there are people that are disgruntled, and we need to speak to them.
Yeah.
Because as long as we have people that are sitting and observe our elections from a point of view of they against us, and are not willing to rally after elections for the growth towards the growth for the people, we would always have issues. Yes. So what would you say to those that are watching now and saying, this is not an election, it's not free, it's not fair, it's not going to work, and they are not going to in any way collaborate with the government?
It's, on social media these days, people are not even ready for a healthy argument. They made up their minds, whatever you say, they will not believe. Okay, we were discussing here, trying to explain one reason cannot cause someone to win an election or lose an election. It's usually a multiplicity of factors. But some people have made up their minds, oh, the elections were rigged. They will not look at the mistakes that they made on their own that made it easier for the opponent to win. They won't. So where people have this mindset, how do you talk to them, for God's sake? Where somebody who came to has already made up his mind that he's the one who won.
Or he's been announced in America as the president of Nigeria.
Yes, someone who won just 2 out of 19 northern states. And those 2 are Christian-dominated states. You didn't find a way to convince the core north. And the greater percentage of the votes are there. And you are still saying that the one who won. How do I convince you that you are a liar? They won't listen. People have made up their mind. It's the worst election in history. And you ask, how many electoral cycles have they even seen?
Did you observe?
How many that have they seen? How old are they? They made up their mind. It's the worst. But I know with the passage of time, we will come to reality. Whether we like it or not, we need to build a good nation, a nation that works for all. And hopefully, as Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the road has been bumpy, but we hope that some of this reform will deliver dividends in the final analysis, because that's what the World Bank and others are saying, that they hope that political expediency will not make him to change some of the big decisions that he has taken, because they will bring dividends in the final analysis.
I can't let you go without saying something. Lots of political activists are calling for, right now, so the elections are over. Supreme Court has made an announcement, but we still have activists trying to incite going on social media, saying that we are going to shut down Nigeria, we're going to do all sort of things. What can we do? I know protesting and, pulling down this nation. What can we do? What do you think? How do we resolve this?
How should Nigerians respond to those calls?
Hey,
Nigerians should just ignore them.
Can we ignore them? They're in our faces. They're in front of us every single day.
Oh, so what do we then do? We can't flog them.
The noise is heavy on social media.
Yeah, that is what they have. But if they now come to Abuja to say they want to surround the seat of power because they don't like the man who is there, of course they will be resisted. When you take the law into your hands, you'll be resisted.
Some protests have been very costly. People have been incited to burn down state investments that had huge, that we cannot even sit down here and do the accounting.
It happened.
Burn a sitting court in this country. Huge investments. Those are such inciting comments online should even be,
They are going to eventually push this country to change the cyber laws so that some of them cannot get away with the nonsense that they are doing. Because people who are ensconced abroad, they are based abroad, they are far away from the fury here. And they are throwing stones at us, trying to get our people to kill one another. Whereas they are safe where they are with their children. Those people should be ignored. If you really feel so bad about our country, you want to change it, come here. Let's survey the country together right here, not by staying abroad and then stoning your country. So I still think that we should appeal to the sensibilities of decent Nigerians that, look, the social media is such a toxic environment. If you can't stay away, ignore the message from the enemies of our country who have given up on the country and they want to win as many people to their side as possible.
Right. I have to wrap up. So let's stay away from enemies of Nigeria. Let's call them as they are.
And from their language, we know.
Enemies of Nigeria. We'll stay away from you. That's all we can take. Thank you so much, Mr.
It's great having you.
It's always a pleasure having you. We hope you come more often.
It's always a pleasure sitting.
Come more often. That's what we want. Come more often.
The man in the midst of women is a blessed man.
Have a lovely day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.